Good morning, everyone.
Good
I'm,
morning.
Beat- uh, I'm Beatrice Andole, a PhD student in policy management. My supervisor is Dr. Epari Jakait. My area of study is effects of teacher level factors on retention of Board of Management teachers in public secondary schools in Kakamega County, Kenya. From this topic, teacher level factors is the predictor variable, while retention is the outcome variable. Statement of the research problem. There is high turnover of BOM teachers in secondary schools, and this disrupts learning process and increases recruitment costs. The purpose of the study is to investigate the effects of teacher level factors on retention of Board of Management teachers. I have 4 objectives. My first objective is to examine the effects of salary on retention of Board of Management teachers in public secondary schools. The second objective is to establish the effects of fringe benefits on teachers' decision to stay or leave. Third objective is to investigate the effects of workload on the retention of BOM teachers. And my fourth objective is to explore the effects of subject specialization on retention of BOM teachers. My research hypothesis, my first null hypothesis is salary has no significant effects on the retention of BOM teachers. Second null hypothesis is fringe benefits have no significant effects on the retention of BOM teachers. Third null hypothesis is workload has no significant effects on the retention of BOM teachers. And fourth null hypothesis is subject specialization have no significant effects on retention of BOM teachers. The scope of the study is limited to public secondary schools in Kakamega County. That means I will not dwell on private schools in Kakamega County. And secondly, I'll only deal with the BOM teachers, and therefore the study excludes TSC employed teachers. Then on the factors, I'll only deal with the teacher level factors. Therefore, it means I'll not consider school level factors. Limitation of the study. This study will be carried out in public secondary schools in Kakamega County, and therefore it may not be generalizable to private schools. Then I'll heavily rely on self-reported data from BOM teachers through questionnaires, and this may face some kind of bias. Another limitation is data on STEM versus humanities may be skewed because some people have this kind of reasoning or thinking, stereotypical thinking that teachers in STEM are likely to leave and join other fields in the science. The theoretical framework of my study is Hasbach's theory, which is a dual factor theory. And in this theory, we have motivating factors that lead to good performance, hence job satisfaction. And we also have hygiene factors that make people avoid work, and their absence results to job dissatisfaction. The conceptual framework, my predictor variable is a teacher level factors, and I have 4 of them. I have salary, fringe benefits, workload, and subject specialization. So salary refer to monthly earnings, and in some cases, we may look at the salary increments. Then on fringe benefits, I'll be looking at housing, provision of housing by schools, food, and health insurance. Then on workload, I'll look at teaching hours, the number of lessons in a week, then the class size, and I'll also look at extra duties other than teaching. Then subject specialization will include STEM subjects, languages, humanities, and technical and applied. The outcome variable, which is retention, will be measured in terms of length of stay in months. I chose to do it in months because we have those people, those BOM teachers who cannot stay in a school for even 1 year. Therefore, the length of stay will be measured in terms of months. The control variables include age, gender, that is age of the BOM teachers, gender of BOM teachers, and the year that the BOM teachers graduated. Study location. The study will be conducted in Kakamega County. The reason I settled on Kakamega County is that previous researchers did not focus on Kakamega County. They did their research in other counties. And secondly, Kakamega County has a very high number of public secondary schools, and this will be of great help in reaching the number of BOM teachers that will help me in my qualitative data collection. Research methodology. The research design, I will adopt mixed approach, concurrent research design, whereby both qualitative and quantitative research designs will be used. The target population of the study is 1,748 BOM teachers, and they'll be drawn from the 437 public secondary schools within Kakamega County. I target the teachers, and therefore schools will only be sites where I can find the teachers. Sample size and sampling procedure. Stratified random sampling will be used, and the schools will be grouped as sub-county schools, county schools, and extra county schools, after which proportionate random sampling will be used to select teachers within each stratum. Then the sample size will be determined using Yamene's sample size formula, as you can see it there. And in this formula, the small letter n represents the sample size, the capital letter N represents the population, target population, and the E in the formula represents the margin of error. So in this study, a margin of error of 5% will yield to a sample size of 325 BOM teachers. Research instruments include questionnaires. So I'll use questionnaires to collect quantitative data from BOM teachers. I'll also use interview. That is, I'll interview the principals and the sub-county education officers. In addition to that, I'll do document analysis, and the documents that I'll be looking at include duty rosters, lesson plans, school staffing records, and also payroll records, which will enable me to know when teachers were employed and when they exit. Piloting of research instruments will be done in 10 schools within Kakamega County, but those schools will not be included when I'll be, that is, they'll be out of the sample frame. Then validity of research instruments, content and face validity will be ensured through expert review by university supervisors, and reliability of instruments, the Cronpatch alpha will be computed to assess internal consistency, and a coefficient of 0.7 and above will be considered acceptable. Data analysis techniques. I had mentioned earlier that I have a total of 4 objectives, and all my 4 objectives will be analyzed at univariate level using descriptive statistics. This includes mean, percentages, pie charts. So all of them will be analyzed using descriptive statistics. Then my first objective, which examines the effect of salary on retention of BOM teachers, will be analyzed using Pearson correlation at bivariate level, and multilinear regression will assess how salary, fringe benefits, workload, and subject specialization jointly relate to teacher retention. Then the second objective, which establishes the effects of fringe benefits on retention of BOM teachers, will be analyzed at bivariate level using Pearson correlation, and multilinear regression will be used at multivariate level. The third objective, which investigates the effects of workload on retention of BOM teachers, will be analyzed using Pearson correlation at bivariate level and multilinear regression at Pearson correlation will be used at bivariate level, and multilinear regression will be used at multivariate level. Then the fourth objective, which explores the effects of subject specialization on retention of BOM teachers, will be analyzed using Pearson correlation at bivariate level and multilinear regression at multivariate level. On ethical consideration, first I'll create rapport with the respondents and explain to them the purpose of the research so that they can participate voluntarily. The respondents will remain anonymous to maintain confidentiality, and to avoid fraud and plagiarism, all sources will be acknowledged. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beatrice, for being within the time given, the 15 minutes, and your slides were quite clear. So, and this is a very good study. So I want to find out, you mentioned the stratified sampling that you'll use, and you mentioned all the schools except the national schools. Are you going to leave out the national schools? And for what reason? Maybe you explained in your documents. I haven't seen that section. For what reason would you leave out the national schools? And two, what is the problem? You didn't come out clearly on what the problem is. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor. The national schools, that is just an oversight. They'll be included, although there are very few within the county, but they'll still be included. Then the problem of this study is there is high turnover of BOM teachers. That is actually the real problem. And with that high turnover, it means that retention rates are low. And this also results into, it disrupts learners because as teachers there is that changeover, then learning process will also be disrupted. And the other thing is it increases the recruitment costs.
Okay, thank you so much. So I want to welcome Dr. Jahonga, our reviewer, to give us a report. Welcome, Dr.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I can see someone has been raising a hand. I don't know whether it's an error.
I'm suspecting by error, Mugoya's hand has been up all through.
All right.
I will give him time at the end of the session in case he has said something. Proceed, Daktari.
Thanks. Thank you, Chair, for giving me the opportunity to look at Beatrice's work. I went through it and I have few things to contribute to this document. Beatrice, how are you?
Fine, thank you, Daktari.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. I would, my first observation on your document is that please refer to the page layout, recommended page layout of your document. I think looking at that document, the pagination is not well indicated, so you may wish to look at that. A few issues are looked at: declaration, acknowledgement. Just look at some of the spelling mistakes. There are a few spelling mistakes, but I'll send you this document, so don't worry. Then number two, looking at your abstract, and probably because this is at the proposal stage, and even looking at how you've been presenting, especially on the data analysis, there are some things that are repeating. So there's a way in which I think you could summarize the use of your Pearson correlation analysis and the other statistical tools that you have indicated in your document. Find a way in which you can summarize the way you have used them for both for all the objectives 1 up to 4. Then number two, looking at your table of content, maintain let there be a consistency in the way you've used your title cases. So in some cases you're using title case, in some cases you're using capital. So I don't know, maybe you could maintain a specific way of writing. List of tables, again, we have recommended that you use the MS Word capabilities. It's like you did a manual way of doing the list of tables. If that can be done again, the document will be okay. On abbreviations and acronyms, we recommend that you follow an alphabetical order. That word of OECD is almost, I think, the third last word. I think if you could also look at the alphabetical order of those acronyms. Then I have recommended about your page layout, and I think this is evident in your chapter 1. So look at it carefully. In the same chapter 1, you have in page, this is page 3. You made some statements that does not have a reference to some statistics. So when you just say studies confirm, we want to see what are these specific persons or authors that made that statement that you're saying. I'm glad that the chair has mentioned about the statement of the problem. The way you have explained after being asked, I think, has been a bit clearer. Although reading through your work, it was a bit difficult for me to really get what the problem was. Indeed, as you're putting it, that there may be a problem of retention among BOG teachers. And so from what you have stated, make it real in your statement of the problem in page 3 and throughout. And then you have also, in that same statement of the problem, you have also cited some work by Chapman 1990 and who else and somebody else, and you see now like this person you have quoted 1990, that's too old. I don't know how many years from now. So, and then besides that, how is that linked to your context? Because you're not just citing for the sake of citing. So if you had to cite, and even if it was a current, then I would have really wished that you link it to your context, and then now that that citation becomes real. Otherwise, it's like someone has a feeling that you just got a citation and just dropped it into your document. So we want to see the relevance of that citation within the context of your study. I have looked at your objectives of the study. Maybe I'll comment when I look at the conceptual framework. So far, I'll not comment on them now, but I'll come to that later. On the research hypothesis, when you start your research hypothesis, H subscript 1, there is a double colon, then the research hypothesis. So you can check on that for all of them, that will be okay. Then I'll jump over to assumptions, the assumptions of the study. Beatrice, I don't know whether the use of a selected statistical model is an assumption. You have said that the study further assumes that the selected statistical model will be appropriate. And at this particular point, maybe you may wish to respond and answer. What are these? What are these factors that determine the use of a statistical tool? Because someone has a feeling that probably that was not well understood. And I think in the course of your training, you may have been told about the outcome variable, whether the outcome variable is nominal, ordinal, interval, or ratio scale. So, and that now determines which statistical tool you're going to use for analysis. So now, if you're so sure about a retention and you put it that it's in months, so it's either 0 months or whatever months. So now you have a clear understanding of what your outcome variable is. In that case, then it gives you a clear indication of the kind of statistical tool you will use in your analysis. And so this assumption to me did not make a lot of sense. Then on the scope of the study, we do of course expect that you have indicated your geographical scope or your population scope or your the time that you're doing that study. So that also needs to be beefed up a bit. On limitations of the study, I also want to say that you have now forgotten about your public schools and now you're discussing about private schools. And you're saying that it may not be generalized for private schools. I thought there could be some limitation just around your work, which we would prefer that you concentrate so much about. Now, you have indicated your third limitation as that the data on STEM against humanities may be skewed because 2025-26 TSA recruitment drive primarily was focused on STEM. Now, that is now what is causing me to drive back to your fourth objective. Don't you think this third limitation contradicts with your fourth objective? Because in your objective, you're saying that, what was your fourth objective? Your fourth objective says that you want to explore the effect of the subject specialization on length. Yes. And you're saying that there were people who are employed in STEM fields in 2025-2026. So if that is the case, how do you think that shapes your fourth objective? I think that was just my concern. I don't know how you plan to go about it. maybe you respond to that. And so if that be the case, then you're thinking about the use of a control variable, and in which case, how do you ensure that that control variable is well taken care of in your model? Now, on 1.12, the conceptual framework, I'm glad the way you have actually explained in the during your presentation, the way you're going to analyze the salary, the fringe benefits, the workload, and subject specialization. And I'm also glad that you have decided to ensure your outcome variable is a ratio scale. Now, what I was asking about this is what is the significance of E of study as a control variable? Maybe that you need to assist me. Then, as the chair also noted, you have indicated about, you talked about the type of school. Don't you think the type of school can be a function of or can affect your outcome variable? The type of school, that there are schools that um, that if they are national, they are extra county. I don't know. Probably I can't preempt my thoughts, but I was just thinking probably that can affect your outcome. Um, just a minute just a minute. Yeah, HR. I'm in a meeting kidogo, sijui kama unaweza kunikontrol yako hiyo sauti kidogo. So thank you. Sorry. So what I'm asking Beatrice is the type of school. Please look at that. Then I have also asked you about the employment that now you're talking about 2026, 2025, 26. How does that feature into this model? Whether it's a control variable or other ways. And I'm sure if you could think about it, maybe that model can be readjusted. I'll rush to operational definition of terms, and I haven't seen how you have defined your workload. And in this case, if you are saying that workload is a function of retention, then what is workload really in this case? And what do we say it's an optimal workload is under or it's above the recommended? So that has also to be clear in your operationalization of terms, so that now when you're calculating or when someone is reading through, then they can be able to get through. Looking at your literature review, yes, you have done a good work. Although I would also say that because these are proposal, I would encourage as much as possible, ensure that all your references are at least 10 years, 7 years, old. That will be good, because in some of the citations you've done, they're a bit old. And I think at this stage, so that by the time you're doing your analysis, that will actually make your work easy when you're referring to chapter 4 and back to chapter 2 for beefing up your arguments. So I think that has to be clear. Chair, I think I would also rush to chapter 3 under research methodology. There has been a good attempt in this work, Chair. I would also say that although sometimes the candidate has been bringing chapter 2 into it by defining some terms which are, in my opinion, probably I think they may not be very necessary. We don't need the definition of research design in this. We just want, as in this case, why you have used this and what's your justification for that. So basically, that is probably the language that I would have wished to look at or to see. Study location is okay. Although you have made again some statements that do not have any backing. For example, when you say that you have this number of schools, how do we believe this data if there is no citation about the description that you have said? Then Yeah, still the same. You have got 47 counties, 437 schools, all that. We want to see where you got that information from. Just cite that part, then it will be a good thing. Um, you have said that you use some county directors as your informed specialists. I don't know whether you wanted to say. I don't know whether you wanted to say key informants, and then I have looked at your data from your sample. Okay, 3.5. Beatrice, we recommend you also use the right format that is centered. I think it should be right, left aligned. Then, then let me move to the sample frame. Again, I note also in table 3.3, if you're using font 12 Times Roman, please ensure that it's consistent. Like in 3.3, that table is not Roman Times Roman. So ensure that that is also so. You have indicated that you're going to do a pilot study outside Kakamega County. Now we just don't know where is this outside. Is it in Mombasa, Garissa, or is it Kisumu? We think that probably if you made a particular reference to that place of your pilot study, I think it will be also okay. Then looked at your work on reliabilities, was fairly okay. I still want to insist, Beatrice, I think on your specification, or the model specification. Now, if you go to page number 40 of your document, you give a model equation for that expected computation, but then whatever you're describing is only meant for the first objective. And so it gets the feeling that that model should have come at the end of your description of objective 1, objective 2, objective 3, and objective 4. I think if that can be done, it can be okay. So that model specification, page number 40, is a bit premature. Probably you should have brought it at the end. Or if you decided to do it at that stage, then you have to put all the variables that you are discussing. So that is what I thought probably it should have come last. Now, back on those things, of course, we do expect that you understand the measurement scale within which you're going to. For example, I think maybe for the sake of this, in just 2 minutes, I'll be finishing. If you're analyzing salary, for example, what are these things that I expect in the first objective? So if you decided to, make a regression out of the first objective, which is salary, then I expect some variables that surround salary in that equation. Then I expect other variables that surround fringe benefits in another equation, just the way I would expect for workload allocation and subject specialization. But now in your final specification model, what I normally call the omnibus model, what constitutes the entire model, then would expect that would be the at the end of your work. So I hope that will be clear. I don't have a problem with the use of multivariate analysis, given the nature of your outcome variable. Though what we're only asking is that whether you understand the form of your explanatory variables, whether they are going to be nominal or ordinal, and then how that will shape your diagnostic tests. So if you're able to do that, then that would be quite okay. I think, Chair, that is my contribution to this. I have made a few comments. I don't know whether Beatrice has any comment on anything. And the Chair, I've also recorded this presentation just in case she would want to get an audio of my comments. I think she would be able to get it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. for that detailed report. There were issues you raised that she needs to respond to. There was something on the significance of her study on and variables on something. Beatrice, I'm sure you're taking notes. Please respond.
Thank you so much, Chair and Daktari. I'll start by what you began with. That is the layout, pagination. The document you received was done at the end of, maybe I think at the end of December. And between January and now, I've been doing a number of corrections. So unfortunately, the one that you were given, the one that was sent to you, had those mistakes that you have mentioned. And I think what I have now, I've already made those corrections on page layout and all that. But thank you for that. Then you mentioned something on piloting. I think it just kept your eye. Piloting will be done in Kakamega County, but in schools that are outside the sample frame. That means that if I do piloting in specific schools, then I'll not go back there during the actual research. Then you talked of the model specification. I realized that it was repeating itself. So that is why I just put it at the end of the first objective, and I did not repeat it for the remaining objectives. So like you put it, I can now put it at the end of the final, that is at the end of the last objective, to make it more clearer. Then all my variables, that is the predictor variables, salary is measured at a ratio scale, then workload, fringe benefits, and subject specialization will be measured at interval scale. Then retention as an output variable will be measured at ratio scale. Then you also mentioned on number of schools. Yes, it is true that the type of school will have an effect on the that is like we have those schools that offer the fringe benefits. So you before you even do the research, you may work on assumption that those big schools, the national schools, the extra county schools, are likely to offer fringe benefits like housing, fringe benefits like food, and so on, unlike sub-county schools. Then on statement of the problem, you mentioned it, but you've said that from the explanation I've done during this presentation, it comes out clear, more clearer. So what I'll do, I'll go back to the document and make it clear. Then you mentioned on removing definition from chapter 3. I'll do that. You also mentioned on references being too old. I will work on it so that I use recent references. You talked of workload, it has not been defined. I will do that definition. Then on limitations, you've advised that there is that limitation. I said that my work cannot be generalizable to private schools. I've taken note of that, and therefore I'll just go back and deal with the public secondary schools. Then on assumptions, that is assumptions of
Hiyo ulipata vizuri kweli? Sawa tu, endelea. Let's go ahead.
assumptions on statistical models. You said that I've indicated somewhere in my work that one of my assumptions is that I'm not sure if the statistical model I've chosen will be appropriate. That is one of the corrections that I've already I mentioned earlier. I did in my current document. So I removed that assumption because it was not adding up. Then the rest of the information on objectives, that is putting, that is after null hypothesis, I'll do that. And yeah, I think that is what I'm able to respond to. Thank you.
Dr. Jahonga, you were saying something on what she didn't get well?
Yeah, I think maybe she would refer to once I send her this recorded presentation, she can review what I said about limitation. But however, I think that's a fairly well responded approach. All I think I would say is she has to be very clear on the use of the explanatory variables and how they relate to the outcome variables as she's put it. The conceptual framework, I think for me, it's quite okay. So it's quite a doable thing if she's guided well. So thank you, Chair, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate your sacrifice to be with us at this time. Thank you so much. Members in the House, any comment on Beatrice's work for those who listened to her?
Sorry, Chair, I listened, but unfortunately, I did not get the discussant's full report. But just basing on what she explained to you about her statement,
Yes.
it was not a very clear explanation if that is what she will adopt. Maybe she can rework on it here. It was a lot of generalizations and assumptions over the problem. Thank you.
Thank you. She has promised to do so, and I hope she'll bring it out clearly before she goes to the next stage. Any other member in the House with a comment on Beatrice's work? There is no hand up, therefore, Beatrice, thanks for your work. You'll receive your reports by tomorrow and work on it so that you're able to produce a good document. Thank you. So our next presenter